of wool, bronze feet, Anunnaki, King David, teachings of the ancient, sacred codes and texts found in Mesopotamia, feathers of a bird, skin of a lizard, face of a man, underground, subterranean. So they said they fled to the hollows of Shambhala. So much info, could it all be disinfo to keep us all blind, brainwashed, energy snatched? Global superpowers keep all the poor people suffering, hunger, starvation, no salvation, worship of false gods / aliens, evolved cavemen. How common trade has turned us all to slaves to a single piece of paper, controlling billions of souls in this damn globe, for whom the bells toll. Darkness follows, nuclear mushroom clouds, DNA extracted from the shroud of Turin. They've been cloned Jesus, the unknown will remain unknown. Orchestrated plans to reenact the book of Revelations in a sequence of man-made events. As you run and bow down to your knees, scared to fucking death, begging for forgiveness. Repentance may be useless. The serpent consumes your aura like energy that passes through fuses.
Ahura Mazda soars through universes while extraterrestrials battle for Earth's resources. Technology of the gods resurface. The master builders is the illest because of our purpose. Ahura Mazda soars through universes while extraterrestrials battle for the Earth's resources. Technology of the gods resurface. The master builders is the illest because of our purpose. Yo, these reptoids got us encased in the matrix of code since the days of old. Their spaceships roam within the elliptical orbit of the dwarf star system of Nibiru. Our binary solar system is see-through. Blue Deku will bless the humans with peace and truth. One of the deepest in the boot, teaching to you. I'm from another star system. I know it by flashes in my subconscious mind. From Lyra to Mars to Atlantis onto Lemuria. Ancient superhumans once descended from Sirius created the Great Pyramids. Many shapes and myriads of extraterrestrials that visit us and continue to do so. Clueless souls aloof and gross won't be able to understand the subtle truth. Don't step to the gods, it will humble you. You suckers ain't cool. To know the truth, you must have the most serious mind. Spiritual rhymes outshine the delirious blind. And some of you would even sell your souls if you had the chance, just to get buried in an underground avalanche with an axial tilt shifting the earth's crust. 1,000-pound boulders from space turn Babylon to dust. There will be no survival except for those that the Most High has chosen. Open your third eye, yo. The draconians and fallen angels can't live forever. The serpent dragons in the hollow earth will label the devil. Satanic aliens abuse us on many levels. It's only because we use infinite potential that we're special. Ahura Mazda soars through universes while extraterrestrials battle for Earth's resources. Technology of the gods resurface. The master builders is the illest because of our purpose. Ahura Mazda soars through universes while extraterrestrials battle for the Earth's resources. Technology of the gods resurface. The master builders is the illest because of our purpose.
Hey, all right. I originally wasn't going with hip hop. I did want to go with something about Ahura Mazda. And I liked the title on this. I clicked on it and turned out it was hip hop. And I was like, okay, the dope's pretty beat. The beat's pretty dope. and so like I am not 100% on board with a couple of little things, but by and large all that's fire, because it's a very real there's a lot of real stuff they're talking about in there, like, you know, mentioning little things like, oh, they got the blood of Jesus from the Shroud of Turin, right? They want you to believe that is an important narrative to understand. They want you to believe, but whoever was the guy that the Essenes were all uppity about when they crucified him, or whatever the hell happened to which prophet of the week that they happened to like the results of the most. That is not how old or who is the personages in the Shroud of Turin. Because that is the face of a Norman, of a white guy, not a Caucasoid. But they need you to believe that for various reasons. Depending on... I don't know. I don't know if it's depending on... It's either depending on the Romans, or it's depending on the Jews, or something. Either way, all I know is that I want Iran to be free, and war was not my choice. That was somebody else's choice. And, takes two to tango, and Iran didn't want to tango at the talking table, so now we're at the banging table. We might be going to the booming table, which is a little bit bigger than the banging table. Bang bang versus boom boom. But, I don't know. But then again, are boom booms real? How much CGI does it take to convince you that a thing happened? Just because they were going to get rid of some West Coast real estate. Listen, guys, I think they're getting rid of some West Coast real estate. Apparently, Mr. 9/11, Mr. Silver, has bought the Capitol building. The Capitol building was in Independence Day as one of the things attracted to the monument lasers. So Jewish space laser comes in, hologram of a mothership. Now you've recreated Independence Day. But you're going to blame it on Iran this time. Anyway. We're going to have a short session because it's late. It's a work night. And I've got things I want to do. So we're going to go for just a little bit here. Till about maybe 7:15. So give it about an hour. And I want to say hi to Ashes in the chat. All right, so where were we? Chapter 23. Regulations concerning borrowing, casting lots, waiting for the close of the Sabbath, and attending to a corpse. Let's see how much necromancy they're going to talk about here and how I'm going to judge what they consider necromancy. Mishnah, a man may borrow of an acquaintance jugs of wine or oil on Sabbath, provided he does not say to him, lend them to me. A woman may also borrow bread from her acquaintance. If the man is refused by his acquaintance, he may leave his upper garment as a pledge with the lender and settle his account after Sabbath. Thus also in Jerusalem the custom was, if the eve of Passover fell on Sabbath, a man might leave his upper garment with the vendor, take his paschal lamb, and settle his account after the holiday. So the paschal lamb, I'm assuming that's the sacrificial lamb, meaning the lamb for the sin offering. At least the one you brought that day, because if he has to settle it after the holiday, what if a different lamb needs to be that lamb now? Because on a different day, a different lamb turned out to be more appropriate to have its throat slit, right? Who was the Judas that brought that about? Gemara. Rabba bar Arhanan said to Abai, what is the difference between saying, I want to borrow, and lend me? There's a difference, maybe. Let's see if this is interesting. Because I make the assumption that they mean the same thing, other than maybe lending implies usury is involved. I would almost assume. Or maybe it just means whether it's... I mean, I'm about to find the answer, I suppose, but I just feel like putting it out there, because it's interesting to look at the journey of where your thinking is coming from before you know what they're about to say. And that's the perspective to hearing me read the Talmud as such, right? I give you all these reads. You're watching my honest reactions in real time, whether I've heard the statement in the book before or not. But the point is that I'm reading it in full context and stopping here and there, and you have a clear distinction between what is me talking about a thing versus me reading the thing. And so with all of that, you know that it changes what it means for me to have my opinion about the thing as I am opining on it with it in front of me. And doing this in front of everybody. This gives you a certain authority over the material being judged. And this is me giving you a demonstration of a way that in which this authority works. The difference is, if a man says, I want to borrow, he usually returns what he has borrowed, and the lender will not be compelled to write it down. But if he says, lend or trust me, the lender generally writes down what he has lent. Send Rabbah again during the week, it makes no difference. The lender is not particular whether one says, I want to borrow or lend me. He writes it down just the same. Then why should a distinction be made on Sabbath? And Abai answered, the saying of I want to borrow on Sabbath is a reminder to the lender that the sages said that one must not lend me, and thus prevents him from writing it down. Okay, so of course, because the writing is work, we've already gone over how anal retentive they are about marking things on paper, ink and paper on Sabbath, or even that is work. And, I can respect that, because that's saying, that's saying like, no, you can't, you don't get away with it just because you have a desk job, sir. That's still working, even if you're sitting on your ass going like that. All right. So the lend involves the trust. And so it goes on the ledger. So so the lending has more of a legal, where borrow is more of, a gentleman's agreement. That's really a psychic agreement, if you want to be particular. I wouldn't even call that a spiritual agreement. It could be spiritual, but I think at its baseline, that's a psychic agreement. Either way, these are interesting expressions of the principles of Gebo. And if you're a Libra-oriented person, some of us are, Gebo is a very important rune to those of Libraic energy. Let's see. So I want to borrow, lend. All right, writing it down. Yeah, okay, so that's the whole passage. The same said again to Abai, let us see. The sages said that everything done on a festival which can be done in a different manner from that on a weekday should so be done. Yes, and that's repeated, I think, twice before in the book. So it's reiterating where this where some of the things that go on in here, like there's a lot of decent logic locking certain things rationally together. I do admit that there's a little bit of that in here. It's still fucking nightmarishly ridiculous that there is so much anal retentive freaking relationship to the entire course of the state of being you put yourself in to be of the Sabbath. This is a dreaded day if I were fucking forced into this. Let us see, say so that everything would be okay, done. So now, why do we not see women who go for water with jugs perform that work differently from their manner on a weekday? He answered, because that would be impossible, for how should they do? Shall we say that one who carries a large jug should carry a small one? What would necessitate her going twice, or that one who carries a small jug should carry a larger one, excuse me. Then she would have a heavier burden to carry. Should she cover it with a cloth, then she might wring it. Should she cover it with a lid, then she might have to untie it. Hence, it is impossible. Right, because in order for her to do it differently, she'd have to perform work or risk needing to do work for it to matter. Or, or creating a heavier burden, which then changes the nature of the simple thing she's doing as work. So this is the one thing where it's absolutely impossible, and there's some preceding important Sabbath duty that she is performing that supersedes all of that. Right? So it's not trying to be a double standard. I will give them that. That's not a double standard argument. It's just a reasonable argument if you agree to the rest of the logic. A woman may also borrow bread from an acquaintance, etc. From the Mishnah, we see that only on Sabbath a woman must not say, "lend me," when borrowing bread, and on weekdays that would be permitted. Would this not be against the decree of Hillel? So this is Hillel versus Shemina school, whatever the other one is, who prohibits this on account of possible usury, as explained in Tract Baba Metzia. I see, right there, because it's a sin for them to do usury with each other. This is not a problem if it's with a Gentile, I bet you. Because they're kind of fucking obligated almost. It's kind of like a thing. It's just like you must usury them. I don't know if that's going to say this in the Talmud. And I doubt I'm going to see anything that's going to contradict that general idea of what I understand. Because it's understood that they're Talmudic Jews. And maybe it's whomever's fucking answer they go with here in these Mishnahs and shit, right? Which is why it's so hard to fucking... Like, even if you say Talmudic Jews, it's all fucking complicated because it's not really about Jew. And the hardest... But that almost makes it worse because once you actually dig that hard into the history of what a Jew is, and I've said that several times in comment sections, not even in live streams, comments from earlier down the line, like early episodes, you'll find comments from a handful of Jews, and me saying some really, really hard shit, like you're like Caucasoids are not related to the Arctic races, you're not a white person. You came in from a Turkic region, and you were formulated from various Sumerian tribes, which is why you don't have the Israeli Talmud. You have the Babylonian Talmud. Why is there a Palestinian Talmud and a Babylonian Talmud, and there's no Israeli Talmud? You're all about this country called Israel, allegedly, but you want to have a Babylon government. Excuse me. You're very fucking confusing. Or call it something else. Because you're borrowing it, right? Like, America doesn't have a Roman government, but we borrowed a lot from it. Rome didn't have separation of powers. We do. We function very oddly as an empire. Why? Because it's a financial empire. Do the corporations stay with America, or do the corporations go and serve the next better country to do the thing? So when Donald Trump's bombing the Middle East, I hope that as a result, the people are freed. Especially because this military operation from the Iranian freedom movement of Iranians that I'm paying attention to, they're pretty fucking happy with Israel and America right now. And that doesn't make me feel any better about the state of Israel, other than I hope that this is reality for them, because they're pretty happy because so much fear is being removed from them. They're beginning to do openly, they're beginning to express themselves in the streets a little bit openly as they are testing how much has been cleared out on local levels for the populace, as all the forces are being drawn into critical positions to either hold the state or, well, they want to try and destroy their heritage. They want to blow up a bunch of Zoroastrian shit and anything that just isn't anything, that doesn't mean anything to Shia Islam. This is like a nihilist fucking Islamic thing, right? It's like we have fundamentalist Christians that I worry about doing the same thing here. Believe me, with the fucking overboard about the demons they get, right? But at the end of the day, Donald Trump wants global investment in America. All right? Plain and fucking simple. And it's a battle of fucking willpowers anyway. And there are people that legitimately, like, we need to get off of a zero-sum game reality. Otherwise, there will always be war. Right? Fundamentalists are zero-sum game people. Hardline, mathematically minded fucking people that believe in scarcity and stuff, like, they're kind of like scientific fundamentalists. They are zero-sum game people. They'll blow each other up for science, which is technically what you're getting, as you get one geologist's opinion on how much oil there is and where, and how to get it, versus others. And different competitions on each ideological side in different manners about their attitudes towards Earth's resources. So, you need to fucking take the Jewish fucking argument, the irony during this live streams about the Talmud, I'm saying this, and fucking contextualize it properly, because it's much smaller than you think if we're going to obsess over the word Jew. Fuck you. All right. If the man be refused, or excuse me, I'm up here by usury. Nay, we can say that the Mishnah is in accordance with Hillel's decree, but here it refers to such place where bread has a fixed value, while Hillel refers to places where bread has not a fixed value. If the man be refused, etc., it was taught alone on a festival is, according to our Yosef, uncollectible by law, and Rabbah says it is collectible. Our Yosef says that it is uncollectible because otherwise the lender will write it down. And Rabbah says if we say that it is uncollectible, the lender will not trust the borrower, and the latter will not have the means of celebrating the festival. You know, just don't be in the offices of the money changer on Sabbath, and that's how you avoid the whole fucking thing. Don't walk over to the office, and don't act and don't say things like you are walking over to the office. So that's how it works, right? But I guess all of this is just like, what if we're trapped at the office on Sabbath where we can do work if we wanted to? Right? Because somehow the scheduling, like, there was a storm and you couldn't leave the office, right? So I guess they have to plan. These are like contingency plans. Like, How do I follow the Sabbath if I can't just be at home where all my shit is set up? How do I do it without my candles and my oils and my dates and my girlfriend here? Right? So this is why you have to have all these weird micro nuances, because why would you fucking bother? So anyway. If the man be refused, etc., it was taught alone on a festival is, according to Ar Yosef, uncollectible by law, and Rabbah said it is collectible. Ar Yosef says that it is uncollectible because otherwise the lender will write it down, and Rabbah says if we say that it is uncollectible, the lender will not trust the borrower, and the latter will not have the means of celebrating the festival. Is this not a contradiction to our Mishnah, which teaches that if the man be refused trust, he may pledge his garment, etc.? If the loan be uncollectible, the pledge is quite right, but if it be collectible by law, why should the borrower pledge his garment? The lender can sue him by law. The lender might say that he does not care to be troubled by lawsuits and judges. Ar Ivia would take pledges, and Rabba Bar Ula would trick the borrower by in turn borrowing something from him after the holiday and holiday that for a pledge. Okay. Let me see. So before we go to the Mishnah, what do we want to do? Let's try this. Atma. Okay. Atma was one of the artists on this hip-hop thing, so let's see, we'll keep it thematic, I guess, for, this is going to be the only break, so this is Heavenly Doors. Hold on, there might be an ad before it plays. 1 second. Yeah, that's an ad, okay. Uno momento, here we go. Alright, so we'll see what this is. If this isn't cool, I don't know. We'll figure it out. As long, it needs to be a decent little take a break kind of song. Right? Okay, here we go.
On the diamond throne, time unknown disciples align minds to this divine tone. Sublime zone in the golden silence of Bodh Gaya, Siddhartha Gautama, attained enlightenment, the Tatha Gata Buddha, gone beyond the Gunas, in Lotus Asana, Dhamma Prajna Mudra. I'm calm like Tibetan skies, let the blessings rise from the shepherd's eyes. I testify at birth with laughter. We're all cursed by matter, immersed in Saturn. I'm burning these patterns, master the life air through the practice of yoga. The learned sage, 900 years of age, like Master Yoda. I blast solar rays from Himalayan mountain tips, and one point in its gaze, the sage raising its countenance. Conscious, life air circles the chakras. Kriya Mana Karma, Upanishadic monster. With the Mahadevas trident, the gods unbombable. In the armor of Lord Narayan, escaping the crossfires and the forces of the Maya. Climbing Mount Zion to the source of holy science. I formed the alliance with David's sages and giants, the wizards, magicians, and mystic souls of the Mayans. I metamorphose into a madness, explore the floor of Atlantis, the subterranean alien. I once crawled the canvas in god body form on the shores of the Atlantic, offering homage to the gods before the cross was fathomed. My subconscious flashes to the tantric masters, chanting holy mantras in the forest covered in ashes, from dead bodies cremated at the burning ghats. Beyond the Maya, trodden through fire, burning hot with bare feet, meditating. Don't think the pain flees. I used to levitate and they feigned disbelief. With everything say and speak, it would manifest. Predictions came to pass. The mystic sitter used to sit and simple ancient math. 80 days would pass, his face only face the slate in his lab. He raced through inner space to trace facts. Master of the self and songstress of the heavens. In the stillness, negation of silence, never ending. Transcendence of trillions of universes. Illustrious, illumined, infinite. Beyond time, ascension transcendent. Of gods and the humans. The unmoved mover, unconquered, illumined. Cosmic tranquility. Shiva at the zenith of 7 palaces. Analysis, Nirvana element.
That was dope as fuck. That was sick. All right, I liked it. I really fucking liked it. All right, Beyond the Speed of Mind is I think that's the name of the album that this Heavenly Doors is on or something. Or it says Reincarnated on the bottom. Maybe that's the name of the album. Hold on. It says right here. Okay. Oh, that makes sense then. All right. Heavenly Doors by Atma. It's on the album Beyond the Speed of Mind Reincarnated. So this is probably like a different version of Beyond the Speed of Mind. There might be another version of it. Or this might be part of a concept album. Anyway. I don't know. I've discovered him on the spot. I'm going to make sure that my boy Derek catches this because... How old is this shit? That's 2015. He probably knows this. I'm sure somebody threw it at him. I mean, dude's got 10,000 views and only 2 less subscribers than me. More people follow me than Atma. Go listen to some good hip hop and I don't know, follow this guy. Why the hell not? All right, there we go. That's me helping out the hip-hop community. All right, Mishnah. A man may count the number of his guests and also of his extra dishes verbally, but not from a written list. He may let his children and household draw lots at table as to who is to have one dish and who is to have another, provided he does not intentionally stake a larger portion against a smaller one. They may also draw lots for the holy sacrifices on a festival, as to which priest is to have one sacrifice and which is to have another, but not for the edible portions of the sacrifices, to whom one piece belongs and to whom another piece belongs. Gemara, why should a man not read from a written list, said Ar Bibhi, lest he might strike out a guest's name or an extra dish from the list? Abai, this is a precautionary measure against reading of business papers on Sabbath. What is the point of difference between them? If the list is engraved on the wall, in that case there is no fear of striking out a name. But the precaution against reading business papers still remains, and the Amoraim differ in this case with the Tanam in the following Tosefta. As we have learned, a man must not look into a mirror on Sabbath, lest he trim his hair with scissors. Like these are all, like, I guess you'd be tempted, right? I mean, I shave where I don't want facial hair often, you know, I try to keep this from growing in. I try to keep this under here from growing in. This is an extraordinarily comfortable beard for me. I'm not trying to be Nanook of the North or whatever with a big, well, those people don't really have much in the way of facial hair, do they? Well, you know, I'm not trying, you know, like I'm not trying to be Santa Claus, okay? All right, there we go. I'm not Santa. I am not Santa. I'm not Satan. Ooh, okay. So they'll be afraid he'll go and trim his scissors. But admire permits looking into a mirror which is attached to a wall. Now, why may a man look into a stationary mirror? Because by the time he goes to fetch scissors, he will be reminded that it is Sabbath. Why not say that No, the way my mind works, I would go through the whole thing. I'd be like halfway through shaving and be like, fuck, is this Sabbath? Fuck! Right? Like, no. That's a horrid excuse. That's just rationalizing. I can't even, don't even pretend. Don't even fucking pretend that was some, like, divinely inspired thing about human nature that you're using insert into rationale for the law right there. No. It doesn't work like that. Which is why it's madness and you should fucking forget the whole goddamn thing. Because nobody pays a man to fucking trim his fucking face. I mean, they're not going to pay him unless his face is trimmed. But then again, I guess he could always hire a Shavat's goy to do it. And it's all a moot point because this is about the fucking Sabbath. Just let the stubble be. Who cares? Who needs it? Anyway, why no man may look into stationary... Okay, case the... Why not say that the same is the case with another mirror which holds in his hand? By the time he lays down the mirror and goes for scissors, he will also be reminded that it is Sabbath. The mirror prohibited to be used by the first Tana of the Tosefta is one that is attached to an instrument which can be used to trim hair, and that is in accordance with the dictum of Ar Nahaman, as stated by Rabbi Bar Abuha in his name. Why did the sages prohibit the use of an iron mirror? Because a man might use it to trim his superfluous hair. Oh, his hair is superfluous. Anyway. The rabbis taught an inscription at the foot of pictures of beasts of men must not be read on Sabbath. What? The rabbis taught an inscription at the foot of pictures of beasts or men must not be read. Okay, the Sabbath. And gazing on the picture of a man is prohibited even on weekdays, because it is written in Leviticus, ye shall not turn unto the idols. With what tradition do you supplement this verse? That you may infer therefrom the prohibition to gaze at a picture? Said Hanan, ye shall not turn to the idols which your imagination alone hath created. Okay, so Hanan is obvious. I would say he's actually correct, because this is pretty fucking easy to me. Like, this is going overboard with the idea of you're worshiping what you've given your concentration and focus to. And if that statement is true, then we have to analyze what it means to worship, because I don't think all those things qualify as worship, right? Do I perhaps worship cannabis or whatever spirit is behind it? Maybe worship's not the right word, but there is an animist relationship I have with the female spirit of the bush. Now, is it the act of worship if I am using it while I am doing my things? And I would say no, that is not worshiping it. I think that we have oversimplified our classification of things. You can have a terrible force of habit problem, something that is obviously crippling and debilitating and making you a danger to be around or untrustworthy or whatever. Things that are compulsive, addictive, and emotionally unstable about when these things are outside of whatever your OCD category of them are. Anyway. He may let his children and household draw lots, etc. It says his children and household, we must assume that strangers are not to be included. If not, why not? As Yehuda said in the name of Samuel. A party of men eating on a festival where the portions distributed to each are exactly alike in size and quantity are guilty of the following prohibited acts. Via measuring, weighing, counting, borrowing, and lending, all of which are acts prohibited on a festival according to Hillel's opinion, they are guilty of usury also. If that is so, why should it be allowed for his children and household? Here the reason is as related to Ad Yehuda in the name of Rab, who said it is allowed to borrow or lend from and to one's children and household and charge interest in order to exemplify the evils of usury. If that is so, why is it not allowed, according to the Mishnah, to stake a larger portion against a smaller? As a matter of fact, it is allowed, but the Mishnah is defective and should read, he may let his children and household draw lots at table and even stake a larger portion against a smaller. Wall Street. It's what they been doing on Wall Street. Anyway, as a matter of fact, it is allowed, but the Mishnah is defective and should read, he may let his children and household draw lots at table, and even stake a larger portion against a smaller. Why so? As Ad Yehuda said in the name of Rab above, he may let his children and household draw lots, but not strangers. Why so? As Ad Yehuda said in the name of Samuel above, a larger portion must not be staked against the smaller one, even on weekdays for strangers. Why so? On account of kubeya. Kubeya? What is kubeya? I would like an explanation. Copy. Talmud. Not Talmud. Good. All right, Kabeh appears once in the New Testament and depicts the calculated trickery of dice players, who manipulate the odds for gain. Paul borrows the term in Ephesians 4:14 to expose spiritual con artists who gamble with souls through deceptive doctrine. No, you don't say, Paul. Yeah, you Jew. Yeah, you Jew for Jesus, right? That's what is that? See, this is it. Like that's all this is. That's all Paul is just. He's just a Jew, going to becoming a reformist Jew in whatever the fucking Essenic early church was of dudes that were going to start the plot to dupe the Romans. All right? It was the beginnings of the plot to dupe the Romans. That's what Paul was. They may also draw lots for the holy sacrifices, etc. What is meant by, but not for the edible portions? Why should that not be done? The edible portions of the sacrifices must be eaten on a festival. Said, Jacob, the son of the daughter of Jacob, that prohibition is only applicable to the edible portions of the sacrifice left over from the preceding day. Is this not self-evident? I would say that because it is written in Hosea 4:4, and thy people are contentious equally with the priests, that the priests are contentious, and hence they should be permitted to cast lots for the eatable portions of the sacrifices for the sake of peace. Therefore, we are taught that the sacrifices of the day may be drawn for, but not those of the preceding day. The same Jacob said, a man on whose account another man has been punished, either through divine or human judgment, is not admitted into the abode of the Holy One. Blessed be he. Whence is the adduced? Shall we assume that it is from the verses of 1 Kings 22, 20, 22? And the Lord said, who will persuade Achab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said in this manner, and another said in that manner. And there came forth a spirit, and placed himself before the Lord, and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, thou wilt persuade him, and also prevail. Go forth and do so. And it was asked, who the spirit was? And Yohanan said it was the spirit of Naboth. A Rab said that by saying go forth, the Lord meant to expel the spirit from within his abode. Perhaps the reason for expelling the spirit was because it is written in Psalms CI 7. That's a large number. I don't want to know what it is right now. He that speaketh falsehood shall not succeed before my eyes. Therefore we must say that the basis for Jacob is the following. It is written in Proverbs 17:26, to punish the just with a fine even is not good. To punish the just with a fine even is not good. This is explained to signify that even punishment through a just man is not good. That is phrased so retarded, sound that must be a poor translation from the Hebrew. That must be. What is not good is certainly evil, and it is written in Psalms 5:5. For thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness. Evil cannot abide with thee, and this means that because thou, God, art righteous, evil cannot remain in thy abode. So that gets into the hardcore, bigoted, black and white thinking of casting people out and doing these hardline Saturnian order things quite literally as your entire sole modus operandi. This is also part of the issue with fundamentalists. Ultimatum people. They may draw lots, etc. How do we know that the word koloshim means lots? It is written in Isaiah, XIV 12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn? Here we go with Lucifer, right? How art thou hewn down to the ground, crusher of nations? Crusher is expressed by the word cholesh, and the inference is made from the supposition that lots were cast, which nation was to be crushed first. Choleshim. That sounds like sometimes you can take CH and do it with the hard K. Kolashim. Collusion. M and N can switch. Collusion. To collude. Because when you're casting lots, it is an exclusive group who hold the share of the possessions and can distribute them amongst themselves. collusion, the kolashim. It is written in Daniel 4:33, an additional greatness was added unto me. That what was that additional greatness? Yahuda, in the name of Aryadamaya bar Eba. From this we can infer that he, Nebuchadnezzar, rode a male lion and twisted a snake around the lion's head to verify what is written. Jeremiah 27:6. And also the beasts of the field have I given him to serve him. One must not hire laborers on the Sabbath, nor may he commission another man to hire them for him. One must not stand at the extreme limit of the Teshum and wait for dusk, the end of Sabbath, in order to hire laborers beyond the Teshum, or gather fruit beyond it. But if watching fruit beyond the Teshum, he may await the dusk at its extreme limit, and in that case, bring the fruit back with him. Abba Saul laid down the rule, whatever I am permitted to prepare for the day following the Sabbath, on the Sabbath I may get ready for at dusk. I'm going to assume the Teshum is some marker of a plot limit on the property in question. And other than that, I don't feel like looking it up. Gemara. What is the difference between a man and his neighbor? The Mishnah teaches he should not hire laborers on Sabbath, nor commission another man to hire them for him. Is this not self-evident? His neighbor is also a Jew, said Arpepa. That refers to a Gentile neighbor. Ashi opposed this and said the prohibition to commission a Gentile to do something on a Sabbath is merely rabbinical for the sake of the Sabbath rest, or Shabbuth. So the Shabbuth is kind of like the deeper Sabbath, I guess, the resting part of the Sabbath as an event. And to hire laborers on the Sabbath is also prohibited only by rabbinical law. How then can one rabbinical law be supplemented by another of the same character? Hence I may say that the Mishnah refers to a Jewish neighbor and should be explained thus. A man must not commission him to hire laborers on Sabbath, but he may say to him, come to me after dusk, and he will do something, and we will do something together. The Mishnah is in accordance with the opinion of Yehoshua ben Karha. As we have learned elsewhere, a man must not say to his neighbor, I would like to see thee after dusk, for the purpose of talking business. And Yehoshua ben Karha says he may do so. And Rabbi Bar Hana, in the name of Yohanan, taught that the halakha prevails according to Yehoshua ben Karha. Rabbi Bar Hana, in the name of Yohanan, said again, what reason did Yoshua ben Karha have for saying so? Because it is written in Isaiah LV 3:13, by not following thy own business and speaking vain words, it is not allowed to speak, but surely thinking is permitted. Ar-Eha bar Arhuna asked Rabbah concerning the following contradiction. How can we say Yohanan states that though it is not allowed to speak, it is allowed to think? Did not Rabbi Bar Hana say in the name of Yohanan that everywhere it is allowed to think, excepting in a bathhouse and a toilet room? For where it is not allowed to speak of the law, it is also not allowed to think of it. In that case, it is different, for it is written in Deuteronomy 23:15, therefore shall thy camp be holy, and a bathhouse and a toilet room cannot be holy. Hence, thinking of the law in those places is not allowed. Speaking of other things except the law is not permitted on Sabbath. Did not Arhista and Arhamuna both say that it is allowed to count up charitable disbursements on Sabbath, and our Elazar say that one may figure out amounts to be distributed among the poor on Sabbath. And Aryeka bar Idi says, in the name of Ar Yohanan, that all things pertaining to the saving of human beings or the affairs of the community may be discussed on Sabbath, and that it is allowed to go to the schoolhouses and call meetings for deliberation upon the community. Businesses and Samuel bar Nehmanai say in the name of Ar Yohanan that even halls may be visited for the purpose of calling business meetings together, and the disciples of the Manasseh say that betrothal of daughters may be discussed, and the advisability of choosing a profession for a child may be deliberated upon on the Sabbath. The passage cited in the law states that following thy business is prohibited, but affairs sanctioned by heaven may be discussed, and all the above affairs are pleasing to the Lord. Okay, all right. We're going to call it there. And so that's interesting because that's all the business end of fertility cult stuff that they're saying you can do. Isn't that funny? And you can count up charitable disbursements. Interesting. But all right. So anyway, we're going to call it there. We're on like 312. Yeah, we're on page 312 out of 346. So we got about 30-ish pages to go. So that might take about 4 sessions. Maybe, maybe 5. I never paid. I hardly pay attention to how many pages I read. I think we were on page 7 when we started today, right? So in an hour, I did 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, I did 5 pages in an hour. So if I do 15 pages in 3 hours, then that's like 2 sessions. All right, we're almost done. We're almost done. Anyway, it's all groovy. Excellent. This is coming to a close quite clean. You guys have a killer night, and maybe I'll do this tomorrow, maybe not, because it'll be Friday and I'll have the time off. Catch ya.